loves style. Everybody loves opulence. Everybody loves something that is classy. Hence, a big Zulu says, "Asidle imali sosebenza imali, sifisa ukuba le mali eningi." Today on my city, my hustle, or visiting one of Bulawayo's celebrated, outshining events management company, led and founded by one brilliant young lady by the name Samantha Banda. Stay tuned and stay glued. By the way, I'm Nkosana Mazwisa, social entrepreneur, Oputwe 745 LI.
Samantha Banda, crowning it.
So this is Sammy. Sammy, I've known you for quite some time in Bulawayo. Sammy the entrepreneur, Sammy the philanthropist, Sammy of down the tea, the famous tea. Today we're here to talk about Sammy the entrepreneur.
Yes.
Tell us your journey. Why did you start Crown Events?
So it's a very interesting story how I got into the events business. After studying law, I never got to practice, and I thought to myself, what business can I do? And with the help of my father, he then said, why don't you try out events? There's a major gap in the sense that there's inadequate equipment and even newer styles and innovative ideas in how to approach the events industry was lacking. So he supported me in starting the business, and from there it has grown into a very big brand and one of the biggest companies in the event space. So I didn't have any previous training or knowledge about how to do it. I then had to learn on the job, experience on how to do the job. I learned as I went along, and I then started taking some online courses and attending some event and management classes in South Africa and trainings and workshops, and this is where I'm at today.
So from your perspective, it's more of exposure.
Yes.
It's more of self-determination to say, I want to learn this. I'm venturing into this, not because I'm skilled in it, but I'm willing to learn. So as a lawyer, though you haven't practiced, how did that influence your business ethos, and how is it influencing your relationship with clients? Because it's something else to be in business, it's something else to have contracts, something else to remain intact. As we're coming in, I realized that you had a conversation with one of the biggest clients in Zim. PPC, it speaks volumes of you.
I think what has managed to keep us a step ahead of most of the players in the industry is our level of professionalism and create business relationships with our clients at all levels. So we interact with whoever that we meet in such a way that you never know who is going to bring in the biggest business. Because most of our clients, we meet them through social gatherings or referrals and introductions, and we use that as a platform to introduce ourselves and to speak of the work that we do, such that whenever they are thinking of having an event, they'll remember that there's a young lady that I met in Bulawayo, and she said she does events. We want to have an event in Bulawayo, let's see if she can assist us. And lo and behold, I can. And that is what has kept us going and being able to keep our clients and our service as well. We offer them very good service that they then refer other people to say, we're very proud of the work that we've done with Crown Events and we want to continue to.
So in a nutshell, you're saying your network is your network.
Yes.
The way you treat customers as they're working, do business with them, it's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship.
The relationship.
That you have built. But along the way, as you're building those relationships, you did make mistakes.
Yes. A lot of them.
I like that.
We made a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
I'll be very honest, it is not a very easy thing to start a business from the ground up. Even if you have the capital, even if you have the equipment, in terms of managing stocks, we lost out a lot of stock because we didn't know how to do proper stock taking. How many chairs went out? If 10 chairs went out, how do we do checks and balances to make sure that 10 chairs of our chairs come back. The client didn't swap them, or the client didn't forget to bring in 5. And now when you're doing inventory, so losing stock, making sure that equipment is maintained, because you have some breakages along the way. But you always need to make sure that you put money aside in your budget to be constantly upgrading your stock and maintaining your stock. And if you need to repaint the chairs or whatever it is, you're doing that. Getting in the new equipment, now you've got fancier chairs coming in. You need to be on top of the game and making sure that you're getting all that. So the mistakes that we made, we've always managed to notice them and quickly improve and quickly correct. And you also need to learn how to work with people, because events is not just about setting up and leaving it there, but the interactions with people. Where clients tell you that it's not practical for me to sit on this chair. A bride may not be comfortable sitting on a couch the whole day at the wedding. So now being innovative to say, okay, we're not going to force a couch on every single bride because it looks nice on pictures, but is it practical for her with the dress that she's wearing, that she sits on a couch for the 6 hours that the wedding proceedings are going? So we've learned quite a lot in our journey and made a lot of mistakes and improved those mistakes, and we're going to continue learning from mistakes. I believe that's how one grows.
So that's how one grows. So it is in the process of making mistakes and obstacles in life, that's how one grows. So Sammy, now, Sam, since you're in the events business, my question will be, how did you then manage to adapt or stay in the game because of COVID-19? We have the new normal. At some point there was lockdown, no weddings, no events, but businesses to go on. You have overheads to pay, you have salaries to pay. Literally, your business is affected by COVID. As an entrepreneur, how did you maneuver, or how are you maneuvering around COVID-19?
Okay, so it's twofold. On the business side, we were obviously affected big time by COVID and all the lockdown restrictions that were there. We were not allowed to have events. We were not allowed to have gatherings of any sort. So we had to close down the shop during the time that the lockdown was there. But one thing about managing the events industry as a business, what we did is we managed to pay our workers a small lump sum of money so that every month they're receiving something until we're able to resume normal business. And it was a big knock on the business because these are funds that we have been saving up to stock up on new equipment and improve our business, but we couldn't. We then had to divert those funds and use them so that we keep our employees sustainable throughout the whole lockdown. And then what we then did is, after the restrictions were relaxed a bit, we then noticed a shift in the nature of events that were happening. Now people are more into intimate gatherings. Instead of a big wedding with 500 guests, they're now more accepting of a lobola celebration, and that is what we then started specializing in. And most of our brides who were coming in for weddings, we then suggest to them that why don't you have a smaller African celebration of the two families coming together. And we did that, and we also tried to diversify and focus on equipment hire more and less of the actual events, such that in the case that anyone who wants to have a small gathering at home, they're still open to come in and hire their 10 chairs and one table and set it up as they like at home, and life goes on. But right now, events are changing and we're back in business, but the nature of events, like I've said, has changed. So whatever's going to happen, we constantly adapting and changing. Then on a personal level, I had to diversify and look at other streams of income and other businesses. And soon afterwards, not forgetting my main line of business, because I can't just close shop and start working on something else. So you still continue with the business that you were doing pre-lockdown and run with it and just change, tweak things according to the times, according to the cultures that are there and the new normal that we now have to live in.
So Sammy, I picked up upon you say now that we're in the new normal, people prefer intimate spaces.
Yes.
And within the intimate spaces, it's more of lobola.
Yes.
What does that mean? What does that speak to us as young Africans? Because people who are getting married are not the elderly, it's the young people who are mostly influenced by Western culture.
Yes.
But now we are capturing lobola. What does that speak to us as young people?
I like the fact that we are now recognizing the lobola celebrations as the actual wedding. Because if we're looking at an African culture, that part of Ukichebenkomo or Imali is the wedding. The fusion of the two families coming together to say, here's our daughter, here's our son, they want to build a life together. And to celebrate that union, that is the wedding. And so I love that we are going back to tap into our culture and celebrate our heritage, that the wedding part is not the white dress walking down an aisle, but it's the celebration with your close family and the intimate part in introducing each other so that you know who the aunt is and how they're related to the groom and who the sister of the bride is, and everyone is in a confined, a smaller environment, but it allows for even communication and conversations to start within the families, where the young ones who would have gotten married are not just going to start off their new life void of knowing who their relatives actually are. So I'm loving the way that events have even changed the mindset. Now you don't get a bride wanting 500 people. They are content with celebrating with their intimate family and their friends.
Yeah, that's loud. So it speaks to us as Africans that we are affirming our beliefs, our culture, and our identity in the contemporary space. Sammy, as a philanthropist, I've worked with you. It's so inspiring to see two young people doing exceptionally well, but also looking out for other young people. Usually in philanthropy, it's usually the elder. But here you are, successful young person doing exceptionally well. Why do philanthropy? Why care for others when you can easily spend time with your own family?
I think it's remembering that if there's one thing that we realized during the COVID era is how fickle life is. And we have a very short amount of time, undefined, on earth, and in that time it's very important to make a difference. And you never know how much you touch someone's life. That small act of kindness can change someone's day, can change their life. And it's not necessarily about funds, but mobilizing like-minded people to come and support a vision to say, let's look out for other people who may be less fortunate than we are and maybe at a disadvantage. And recognizing that you can make a difference. Giving someone a meal can brighten up their day for someone who's not had anything to go by, or giving a family a grocery hamper where they did not know where they're going to make ends meet, or offering to pay school fees for a child who was struggling to realize their dreams and their full potential. So in all that, I think it's important that we never forget the small acts of kindness and how much they can touch other people outside.
Yeah. That's so intimate. That's so intimate. Same, we usually make 5-year plans. You know, as an entrepreneur, you say, where do I see myself in the next 10 years? Where do I see myself in the next 20 years? But in 2015, we said, where do we see ourselves in 5 years? No one knew there would be COVID in 2020. So I would say, where do you see yourself in the future?
In the future, I see myself growing. I think if there's one thing that I've taken away from 2020 is how I should focus on improving and growing from the person that I was the previous year. And always try to learn more and to do more and to achieve more. So in 5 years, I want to be at a space where I can say I have done so much more than what I was doing in 2020, 2021. And my biggest competition is myself. I'm no longer putting a benchmark based on someone else's achievements, but I'm personalizing it and saying, I want to be a better Samantha than I was 5 years ago. I want my business to be better and bigger than it was 5 years ago. So I'm not comparing my growth and my story to anyone else's, but it's a personal journey. And as long as I'm striving to be better than me, I will always do better.
So you're competing against 3 people, you, yourself,
and I.
Love it. What's your message to the other young people who may be listening to this conversation?
I think the message that I would want to encourage is don't give up. You will definitely face challenges. Being in business is not an easy thing. And you will make a lot of mistakes along the way. And you will even doubt yourself at times to say, am I capable of doing this? But believe in yourself, trust that whatever is meant for you is going to come to you. As long as you put in the hours, you put in the work, and you're determined to make a difference in whatever space it is that you're doing. And I think the other message that I would like is, it's overstated, but it's very true. Stay in your lane. Don't focus on what the next person is doing, what they're posting online, or what they look like they're busy doing. Focus on yourself. Focus on improving yourself. Learn more for yourself, because your experience and your journey in life is very different from the next person's. So never ever compare yourself to someone else. Focus on you and do you. Stay in your lane.
Yes.
Yeah.